to be talking about what's changed in business objects administration between BI 4.2 and BI 4.3. And, just in case you're not aware, Business Objects BI 4.3, the next major release of Business Objects, was officially released in the middle of June of this year, Service Pack 0. There are still a few items that are missing in terms of the current 4.2 functionality, and so they will be delivered in Service Pack 1, which is due to be released in December of this year. Most organizations are really not looking to move their production environments to 4.3 until 2021, but it is a good time to definitely put it on the sandbox, kick the tires with it, and try it out and start to get ready for what's coming, because obviously, big UI changes and a lot of other exciting stuff as well. So let's find out what's changed on the administration side. And so I will hand over to Minith. Over to you, Minith.
All right, Paul. All right. So you can see my screen, hear me okay?
We can.
All right, perfect. All right, let's get started. And as Paul mentioned, it will be a while before we see adoption on 4.3, but it's always good to know and see where things are at. And we'll see a couple of reasons why someone may be interested to jump in these current versions, even though they have some, they're awaiting further enhancements to it. So old versus new, we're just saying it just because, 4.3 is new. So the goal of this presentation is to show you what is new and what is different from system administration perspective. So there are two things that we will be looking at. One is obviously the CNC. That's where a lot of people spend their time. So we'll look at side-by-side comparison of what is there in 4.2 versus what is there in 4.3, and if there's anything new, what is it? And if it's moved and hiding somewhere, where is it? And also we'll look at a few services that are not available so that we know and understand, like when they say no, it's a hard no, We may talk about Desky in that regards, if we need to. All right. First things first, what did they put on the chopping block, for 4.3? What is not available right off the bat? So no more Desky report support as a hard cut to it. There's no engine that can even host, those Desky reports. Second thing is they don't even provide you a conversion tool. So that tool is no longer available. Upgrade management tool is also not available. What did we use upgrade management tool for? Anything that was older than VO 4.0, we used upgrade management tool to import contents from XIR2, 3.1, or even the older versions. So those are completely gone. What does that mean? That basically means they expect everyone to be in the 4.0 ecosystem, whether you're on 4.1, 4.2, or still on 4.0. Everyone needs to be in the 4.0 or BO4 realm, basically. And that's the expectation. Dashboards, again, chopped away for us. So there are, I'm mentioning these S notes as well so that, you can read in more details, what exactly is going on behind the scene for that. How are they going to sunset few things in regards to support and stuff like that. Explorer is no more. So if you have Explorer license with Explorer reports that you've been using for a while, fortunately those will be passed over again to the new version. BI widgets. BI widgets are, right now they have said they don't support it, but I think they're reconsidering it on how it will work with the new UI. So if you don't know what BI widget is, it gives you a custom landing page configuration that you could do, and you can set that landing page for a specific group of users. so that when they log in, they see a screen that is relevant to them. They see reports that are relevant to them. So it was a UI thing. And since in 4.3, they have a Fiori-based UI, the widgets definitely will not work. So we'll have to wait and see if they ever revive it. It's kind of like Desky. They put a hard stop on it initially. People screamed, and then they had a compatibility pack again and again and again put out with enhancements behind the scenes. So don't know how things will turn out this time, how many people will scream for whatever tool that needs to be there for at least a while so that people can continue on the newer platform. Right, so those things have been chopped away. Right, improvements made, they have made quite a few behind the scene improvements. Obviously, the biggest one that people are looking forward to is the new Webby UI, Fiori based. We can take a look at it too if we have time today. Just a quick look at it. If you haven't had an opportunity to see it, we can see it. Especially the design mode, because I think everyone right now who is on 4.2 has seen, or they have the Fiori-based Launchpad available as of today. The only thing you cannot do right now is edit reports with the new Fiori-based interface. It will take you with the back to the conventional interface if you want to edit the report. All right, bunch of improvements have been made. Biggest one is now they have come up with native Snowflake connectivity. So they provide the middleware with the client tools and everything. So that is available. Google BigQuery. So these are the two big enhancements that they have done for supported data sources. So for those organizations who are on these, data engines, they can definitely leverage the new revised, improved version of processing this data. Right, so notes are notes, but let's look at it live on, a 4.3 environment. So let me go back to this right here. All right, really quick before I go into the CMC and show you stuff, just wanted to point out a few things. From installation perspective, you will see the regular standard trio of friends that you have once you're done with the install, which is the Tomcat, if you're installing it with your application, the SIA, and if you're SAP with who needs BW integration, you have BW Publisher. Those three are not changed. What has changed is you will see a workflow assistant. This is new. This is basically powering the automation framework that was introduced in 4.2 SP5 and then improved drastically in 4.2 SP7. Quickly moving to another VM, this is what I'm going to show you. This is 4.2 SP7. And these are the service agents that get installed, basically that support your automation framework. So there's a messaging queue broker automation framework. This is part of the installation. So major difference. They're consolidating this and making.
Yeah, Minith, we're still only seeing your slides. We're not seeing your your 4.3 screen.
All right, let me see if I can do this again. And Laura, how do I share my desktop? That way we can see.
Just do a reshare again. It's not allowing to share desktops that much, but just do a reshare and then click on the new screen you want to show.
Okay, I'll have to bounce back and forth, so I won't do that. I'll just stick with the main server that I need. All right, there we go. So this is 4.2 SP3.
That's it.
You can see it, right?
Yep.
All right, so this is what I was talking about. With the installation, you'll see a new agent or new server called Workflow Assistant. In the old one, you had two others. One was called Automation Framework. One was called Messaging Queue Broker. Those are not available anymore. Those two have been consolidated and are going to be replaced with this. So you're going to compare apples to apples, just keep that in mind, that installation is a little different, because they are, improving the software behind the scenes. All right, so that's that. That's the CCM. I'm going to show you, on the right, I have 4.3. On the left, I have 4.2 SP7. So let me log in, and then I can show you side-by-side comparison of what does it look like. This is, again, this is SP7, and this is 4.2, 4.3, not the beta version, but the GA release that was available. Right, so that's that. So when I show you side-by-side comparison, just keep that in mind. The one on the right is the latest one. Right. What do we see different? Spot the difference. Have you ever played that game where they show you two pictures and you're supposed to find like 6 differences or something like that? Can you find differences here? Well, right off the bat, you can see under define, we don't see authorized HTML elements anymore. There is something called as a data source reference. So authorized HTML elements in the old version is not gone. It is there. They have just put it in BI Admin Studio. I'll show it to you later. This is brand new. This is data source reference. So this is another way to secure your data. And with each release, I think they're going to release more notes on how to use it. But in my exploration, I found out that data source reference, brand new. All you do here is create this object called data source reference. There's nothing else that you can do here. Basically, just create a new reference, just name it. That's it. That's all what you can do. Then what you do is, the idea is to use that and use it with different connections. So for example, OLAP, we'll just say a new connection or something. Oh, there we go. And we'll say we want it to be based off SQL Server, or where was it? Authentication type, credential mapping, and that's what it is. So data source reference. So you will be associating user groups as part of security. So whatever user group have access to this or are added to this data source reference, only they can see any OLAP connection and stuff like that. So far, OLAP is one thing that I have been able to see. I don't think I've seen this for IDT yet, but maybe they will enhance on that feature. So keep that in mind, a new way of securing content. Kind of like goes hand in hand with user attributes, where you create attributes for your user account. This time you're going to create, an object called data source reference and associate it to various connections. So if a user belongs to some data source reference, they can only see that data. So they're going to make it more easier by just looking at it visually and understanding who has access to what, rather than going all the way in the back end. So that is new, and that will keep, they will keep on enhancing that. Another thing, version management, nothing's new, everything's fine. Another thing is, you'll see that BI administration console is gone in the new one. Where is that? Well, they have changed the name for it, and it's called Workflow Assistant. So technically, those two are the same thing. They just changed the name and then the UI associated with it. This is the same UI that you currently see when you log into your BI admin console. If you are SP7 and above, you have a better version of this, but that's all what it is. The same thing where they provide you the automation framework feature. So for some things that are new, you will see a new UI. On the right, you can see it, right? Same stuff that they have. Workflow templates, scenarios. They just show it in a different way, different UI. And then for some, like the most important ones, promotion management, which people log in every day, it's 100% the same. So anything that's new, they have changed the UI for it. Anything that has been there before, it's still the same. So that way it won't give you a drastic difference in viewing. All right, do we have a question?
No questions so far, Minith.
Okay. All right, another thing is you'll see there's no BI Administrator's Cockpit on the right, it's gone. There's no visual difference on the right, that is gone. There's no monitoring, you'll see monitoring right here, that is gone. So what have they done with those? Well, basically what they have done is they have consolidated all of those along with the HTML elements in BI Admin Studio. So this is BI Admin Studio. I'm just gonna make this big screen now. So in 4.3, that's what they have done. So BI Admin Cockpit, all 5 features that they showed before are right there. Monitoring, all 5 features, it's just right there. And then a couple applications they have, crammed into this BI Admin Studio, kind of like visual difference and HTML elements. So everything is still the same. Once you go in, it's the same interface, basically. So let me go back here and show that. Oops, come on. There we go. So this is HTML element, same. They're just embedding it within BI Admin Studio. So kind of like cleaning it up, decluttering it. Those were the least used features actually. So, they're just packing it together in there. So that's the CMC part. Nothing too drastic from UI perspective or anything like that. What else? I know I have to stop sharing my screen and then share another screen and show you something, but I'll do that. And share screen and Word document. All right, so I mean, this is just me. I do take screenshots and I try to look into it and see if there's anything different to really find out, if there's a new way of installing the application, new feature that we can see right off the bat or anything like that. So far, installation is also same, nothing new or different. The only thing you'll notice is language packs. They still need to add more. They don't have too many languages. Before they had over, 30 or 50 languages. Another thing we see is, this was odd for me, SAP BusinessObjects dashboard services. And I'll show it to you. We'll go back to the CMC. There's no such thing. So I hope they keep improving these kind of things. These are like obvious stuff. But yeah, Workflow Assistant is brand new. It's part of administrator tools. So keep that in mind. This is again, your replacement for automation framework. And nothing is different other than we can see, let's see, client tool, other than this. So as you know about the installation, if you've done it before, you'll notice it's less crowded because quite a few things are gone. There's no desktop processing servers, 2 of them. And the entire application is now 64-bit architecture. So there's no longer connection 32 server available. So that's also gone. So for your client tools now, you will only need 64-bit drivers for connectivity. So connection server 32 is gone and good stuff. So less services behind the scene because they don't have to keep that. Another thing with client tools, you'll see they don't give you much now. The report conversion tool is gone. Desktop, quite a few other things are all gone as well. You will see, basic things. So Webby is what mostly people, rich client was what people would normally use. Universal design tools and then data federation administration tools. So they're keeping it simple now. Database connectivity wise, You can see now as part of the client tool install, they provide the Salesforce and Google BigQuery middleware. So it is all part of the install now. If you currently want to use Salesforce or Snowflake, Snowflake, not Salesforce. If you currently want to use Snowflake in your existing environment, they do provide a workaround for it. There are a bunch of files that you need to copy from them, place it in certain locations so that a middleware is generated. And there is another system file that can be used, that is used for processing this data as well.
Good question, Minith.
Yes.
In 4.3, do we still have APS sizing, distributing APS into different subservices?
Yes, 100%. It's still the same, and that has not changed at all. So that is what I'm going to show next. So that's a good, segue into this, basically. Since we're talking about servers, on the left, it's what you say. We have split the APS, and this is the one that I'm keeping it bare minimum. Default out of the box so that people don't get confused. But you can see the footprint of the servers and services, or the servers are reduced. There are added services. So, I'll just show you like core services. If we go, you can see that they want you to connect to Analytic Hub, basically. So there are few services behind the scene that have been introduced now. So we will have to carefully split our APS. And again, there is very less documentation on splitting APS. So you have to rely on a lot of experience on how this needs to be done and how it's going to work and power your application. Because if you do BO install and setup right once, it helps you for ages, right? That's what we have known, and that's what we see. And that's why a lot of people don't like to touch it also, and stay away from service packs. Another thing I can show is if we go to applications, they have reduced applications in the new one because it's gone, right? So, for example, you will not see any dashboards. You will not see any desking. What else is gone completely? You can see the total at the bottom, 36 on the old one, 30 in the new one. So right off the bat, they're just completely stripping it off. If it's not supported, it's not supported. Simple as that. Report conversion tools. So these were those applications, especially these three that I've highlighted were desktop-based applications where you could apply security from this place in CMC. Those are gone. So again, 6 of them are gone. There's something new, so workflow assistant they have introduced, which you won't see it here, basically. So that's that with the CMC. So not a big major difference. The only thing we need to understand is that they have consolidated quite a few features in the BI Admin Studio. So nothing is deprecated from feature perspective. They have added a couple, but they just did this right here. Right. Any questions on this so far?
Yes. Is there any specific service to extract SAC data models? How does SAC integration work with 4.3 in terms of the administration? Any key takeaways there?
SAC, I'm not sure if they, let's see, Cloud Analytics, that's the only new one that, it's not new, it's been there. So this is where you can provide your tenant information for your analytics cloud system. Is this what you were asking?
Yes, that's the SAP Analytics Cloud. Okay.
Yep. So that's new. So good question. And as we saw, right, there's a dedicated service for it too. So make sure your sizing and your APS is done accordingly, because it's one of the first ones, Analytics Hub service, that is going to power your integration between your cloud and BusinessObjects. So it is there, it is new, and we can see those in application and in services. Yep, if no questions, then we can see a few bonus things. I do have three more minutes. Or I'll just. So we all have seen the Fiori-based Launchpad, basically, in your existing 4.2. That's nothing new. But what is new is, if you haven't, or if you didn't know about it, SAP in your existing version, if you're SP5 or above, that's when they introduced this Fiori-based Launchpad. So you have it. Your extension for that in the old one or your current one is BI Launchpad, right? That's what you have. In the new one, that goes away and it replaces the old interface with this. So your URL will be BI, not BI Launchpad. So let me show that to you so that people don't get confused. Like, what is this? What URL are you talking about? So this is the BI Launchpad URL that you have, and that is exactly the same. So as of now, in your version, the only thing that is different is editing a report. So if I go open a report and click on edit, it's going to open it in the existing Java or HTML-based interface. But in the new one, when you click on edit, you'll see the new Fiori-based interface. So this is a change that we need to get ready with. So that's why they give you that in SP5, so that you can slowly train your users to transition with the UI. Otherwise, it's a major shock. People get lost, like, where is this, or what's going on with this demo server? It's pretty slow. All right, we'll wait for that to open. In the meanwhile, I can say, like, there are a few tips that we can provide. Is basically, there's a new WAR file that they provide. It's called Team Designer. You can deploy this WAR file now in your current version, and you can customize the Fiori-based Launchpad with your company logo, background image, and everything. So they have given you this as a means to get started with playing around on the new UI. So they're motivating you, so that you can make it look a little cooler, and then your user adoption rate is a little bit higher. This is what is provided right now as of today. So it is kind of like a tip, is basically, if you have good power users, tell them to start using the Fiori-based interface as of today. Oh,
and you did say earlier, Minith, that we still have the Webby Rich Client Desktop tool. That's still available.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
and of course that's 64-bit, as you were mentioning, and then that would also be applied to Crystal Reports Designer would now be 64-bit with 4.3 as well.
That is correct. Everything is 64-bit.
Great.
Yeah, I showed the regular client tool. Of course, that would not have the Crystal Designer, but we could see that. A few things really quick. If you're on the older version, things are going to get really difficult for you. I mean, really, really, because if you're on 3.1 or older version right now, you have to hop on to 4.2 SP3. That's the max you can go with your existing content. Then you have to hop on to SP8. That has the most revised code. And then you can hop on to 4.3. So if you're in really old version, you're not going to like the upgrade path. But that's where we're at with it. Online documentation, they do provide it. You can take a look at it. If I click on it, it's not going to show my screen, but take a look at this, and it will tell you what they have done and not done on the new version of BO, specifically for system administration. And this is the maintenance schedule. SP1, which is supposedly going to be very refined and clean, it's going to be coming, last week of December this year. They have released, patches for the GA release. It is available as of today. Patch 1 is. Patch 2 is scheduled to release sometime in a few weeks from today. But that's where we're at. So for transitioning, make sure you leverage Theme Designer so that you can use the same thing in the new one. That way people can stick with the same COE-based UI for slow transitioning to the new one. And also find alternatives to your existing BI products that are no longer available. For example, you can use Squirrel or dashboards, right, that you already have, because those are not supported. And they are planning to introduce a lot of new features, especially for Webby in 4.3. So once they get everything cleaned up and good, there will be a lot of enhancements coming up. So as Paul mentioned before, we don't anticipate anyone using 4.3 right off the bat, and we will see a trend in 2021. But for now, it's always good to be informed on what to expect. All right. Any other questions for me today?
I think we're good. Yep, I think we're good to go. That was very informative, and I loved how you showed the two CMCs side by side. That makes it so much easier to immediately see the differences between the two. So that was excellent. So all good stuff. And I know you also mentioned about the Snowflake connector. Of course, that is also available in SP8 as well, right? Of 4.2, right? So good. Well, great stuff. Thank you so much, Minith. Really appreciate that.